Well, good morning, one and all. It is. Thank you. Nice, lively group. It is 10:02, so it's fashionably late. I think we should begin. But it's always important to set the tone, I think. So let's begin with some music. Good morning to you. Name the movie. Sorry? Who can name the film?
It's a 40s film.
Gene Kelly, Donald O'Connor.
South Pacific?
No.
I can tell you the time.
Okay. Oh, here's the next clue. Okay, this will just give it away. You ready? Do 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 do. Ah, excellent. Sing it in the rain. So there we go. Well, welcome one and all. My name is Chet Davis, and I'm the Vice President of Sales and Marketing with Macro System US, the good folks who bring the Casablanca line of digital video editors to the Americas. And I'm pleased and delighted that you took time out of your busy schedule to spend some time with us today to move us all a little bit higher up the ladder of video enlightenment. Yeah, I stayed up late thinking that one. This is my 7th year with the company. Prior to that, I spent 17 years in the classroom as a professional educator. I taught a high school video production program in Northern California, have a degree in radio, TV broadcasting with a minor in journalism, and kind of emphasized and focused on what I would call small format video for the last portion of my career. It's always a delight for me to be with a group of folks and have a collective sharing of knowledge and wisdom. There are certainly things that I have on our agenda to share with you, but there are often times as well times for questions about something that you're interested in doing maybe more efficiently or different with your system. The one kind of caveat is this, and I like to lay down, for lack of a better word, ground rules, and some people object to the word rules, so let's call them our tenets of existence for today, our TOEs. And that is, you are welcome to ask virtually any question. Okay? I say virtually because I would like it to be somewhere in the realm of video in Casablanca. I'm really rusty on thermonuclear physics. Okay? The other piece is that some people have traveled a great distance. Some people have traveled for hours and hours in traffic, even though maybe they live a short distance. Okay? And there is what I call group time. Okay? And group time is when we're assembled in this prestigious hall. And group time is different from individual time. If you have a specific software problem or hardware question or issue, you're welcome to ask it. And I pledge that we will follow up on it, though it's not likely going to be in group time, because I think it's only fair that everybody else is here for the benefit of other things. You're welcome to see me at lunch. You're welcome to see me at the end. My plane doesn't leave till very late tonight. So although that's not an invitation to spend 3 hours with me to do things, although I am looking for a dinner date. No, never mind. I want to open it up. You will get your issue addressed. At the very least, I will give you my card with my cell phone and my direct email address to follow up with any particular issues. But again, if I find it's a hyper-specific issue, I'm going to defer you to individual time and not group time. Fair enough? Okay. I'm delighted to bring some new stuff that very few people have seen in North America today, including the forthcoming Casablanca Liberty, which is the very first portable Casablanca in a Toshiba notebook, tablet PC. And I'm actually going to fire it up and pass it around after lunch for people to be able to use the tablet, and it's got a touch screen for editing. So we'll go ahead and pass it around, and you can edit at your own desktop and play. But you got to promise to pretend like you're paying attention to me. Okay? I also have on one of my hard drives Smart Edit 6, which we're expecting to release in North America around March, early March likely. And there's some dynamite new features in there that, as I was sharing with somebody over breakfast this morning, it's more than just nice for a salesperson because I have something new to sell, but there's a whole gaggle of features that I think a lot of customers will really appreciate in terms of improving your efficiency, archiving tools and backing up, and the ability to transfer between devices. And there's just a lot of nice features that developers have really gone the distance, I think, and come up with something fantastic. But I also want to make sure that today is not just about you thinking about buying something new, though Gary and I would be delighted to help you out in that regard. The other piece is I want to make sure you're getting full use out of what you have right now. Okay? So our first session this morning, we're going to jump into Smart Edit 5. Many of the features, and I will point them out, all but 2 of them are in Smart Edit 4 as well. So I would highly recommend that you upgrade to at least Smart Edit 4, at the very least because of the feature set there. Some of you will want to go to 5. If you do, you may find it of prime interest the ability to edit to the beat. And I know you can cut to the beat, but I'm saying edit to the beat, and you'll see the difference. And as well, the ability to export audio to CD, and I'll talk about that. Particularly for those of you who have a business, this opens up a whole new revenue stream. With just a couple button clicks, you have a new product to sell to your customer base. So, but first, I am remiss in introducing our host reseller, and that would be Gary McNally of McNally's Plug and Play. So if you've not met Gary yet, you may know as the manufacturer, it is key to us that we have dedicated, knowledgeable, service-oriented resellers throughout North America who help work with our customers to make sure that they are accessible to provide them with Casablanca products and support after the sale. And Gary continues to be in the top 10 of resellers in North America. So you have a fantastic resource. If you're working with another Casablanca reseller, I'm not going to push you away. But I will say that Gary is phenomenal. He knows the product very well, and I am pleased to know him personally and professionally. So thank you, Gary, for hosting us today. So, incidentally, Gary has a table outside the room at break time. You might stop by. Did you want to say anything about what you have there, Gary, or?
It's got a lot of accessories, and of course all the software. We can download it, print the codes right here, and all the CDs. Take the software home with you tonight.
Great. Thank you. So
20% off, too.
That's right. We a show special, as some people have known these things are called. You can look at the list price in your beautiful color product guide and deduct 20% off. And it's kind of a show special we're happy to provide to you. If you as you go through the list of software, the only difficult choice is which 10 will you buy today. So. So, all joking set aside. What's most important to me, realistically, is that you have the tools you want and you need for the type of work you do. And that's going to differ from, this table over here to this individual here to this gentleman here to this gentleman here. And that's fine, okay? I'm not about shoving software down your throat. As you may know, we have 53 add-on software products. Well, 12 of them come with a new system. But the add-on software products are available for different people. And you may know as well, hopefully, that all the software, all but, 2 or 3 pieces are available in demo mode. So you can take it home, you can play with it on your system and see if it works for what you need with your footage, and then you can purchase it. Okay? So in that regard, maybe you're going to have a list at the end of the day and say, it's between this and this, I don't know. Go back to your edit suite, okay? And then we'll talk about what you can do later, too, because there's something more you can do with that. But again, I would encourage you to take a little piece of paper, this Holiday Inn pad, which I spared no expense at arranging for you. That's okay. You're welcome. You're welcome. And the very attractive Holiday Inn custom pen. And just make a note through the day as like, he talked about that software pack or that one. Do I have it or do I need it or whatever? So, all right. Did anybody else, who can tell us where the closest restroom is? That's an important question. So you go out,
to the right,
take a right,
into the left,
take a left.
right.
So right, left, right. Right, left, right.
And then it's on your right.
Okay. There's a water station in the back of the room, you may know. So you're welcome to get up and take advantage of that when you need it. So stay hydrated. And we'll certainly take some breaks through the day. Let's just quickly review the agenda. But before I do that, I should make note that we have made discounted parking available for you if you parked in the Holiday Inn lot. It is $5 instead of the $8 or whatever it is. 9. Is that a 9? So take your parking ticket to the front desk, and you have it validated any time. Okay? So take your parking ticket. You're welcome.
And prize if we're registered in the hotel also, I hope.
Yes. Yeah, registered or just attending for the day. Yes. Okay, quickly. So we're going to jump into the smarts of Smart Edit, getting the most out of your operating system. And that's about 90 minutes worth. And then at 11:30, we're going to jump into DVD authoring. I want to make sure you're aware of the capabilities of the current version of DVD Arabesque, which is Arabesque 3, with chapter menu capability, and show you a couple things that you may or may not know that kind of pushes the software to the next level. So there are some people that say, well, Arabesque doesn't work for me, it's not creative enough, and so forth. I want to show you some examples that may put that notion to the test. Okay? It may not do what software X does, that's fine, but I want to show you how you can get the most out of it if it's something you wish to use. Then we're going to break around 12 noon, and today we have a nice turkey croissant with some accessories. I believe, though I'm not certain, we're eating in here, and I apologize, I should know the answer, but I don't. In which case, we'll just have an informal chit-chat lunch, and maybe we'll just put some videos in the background and just have time for conversation. And then following lunch, we jump into Casablanca Titling Intensive. The two areas that's interesting is as I travel about and do presentations to Casablanca enthusiasts, the two areas I find that people have the most questions, globally speaking, are in the titling menus and in the audio menus to do different things. There's really some rich feature sets in there that I find by virtue of maybe our poor documentation. I shouldn't say poor, I'm being videotaped. How can I euthanize? There perhaps is another way to explain these tools, and I'm here to do that for you today. So both in the titling menus and in the audio menus. There's some really cool capabilities, and it's fun for me when that people go, I didn't know you could do that. Why didn't? And the only downside is, why didn't you tell me? Or where were you last month when I needed that? Sorry, okay. So those are the only downsides. So there's some really, really cool capabilities. And then we're going to jump into some specific software as well. One of my favorites is PowerKey. Many of you may have PowerKey. PowerKey, again, I guarantee, now they may not say it because I've kind of put this out, but I guarantee somebody will say, dang, I could have used that last week, month, year, what have you. And if you do anything with photo montages, repetitive tasks, we're talking 5 keys, and you can put 500 scenes in the storyboard with an effect. So I mean, it's really quick and easy. So again, it's not something you use for every single project, but when you want it, it is great to have. Okay, and the other piece, I'd love to do a little bit of Photo Studio 2, because lots of people we're seeing the merge. You know, about 10 years ago, we saw this thing called computers and video, which used to be separate, and now, you know, this merging of what's called desktop video. And now we're seeing more and more merge of video, motion video, and still images. And certainly that's been there for a while, but it's increasing in frequency. And many of you who work with customers producing media know that very well, that becomes an important part of many of your projects. So Photo Studio 2 is an application we have that has some really nice features. And again, I want to kind of push the envelope, because some people think there's limitations, and I want to show you how to break through some of those limitations, okay, like the ability to do a cross zoom across an image and go off screen. So I mean, there's some really cool things you can do with that piece as well. I'm going to just spend about a half an hour going through HDV on the Casablanca, how the Casablanca approaches high-definition video. Okay, and I actually have one of my projects is set up with footage from Yellowstone National Park that I shot on my little Sony single-chip HDV camera, and talk a little bit about how we approach that. And then we're going to close off with focusing on the new product. So just give you, again, pass around the Liberty, answer questions on that, but jump into Smart It at 6. What's cool and useful, and if you choose to get it when it comes out or shortly thereafter, how you can make advantage of the best features. And then also show you two new pieces of software that are coming out. Candy Factory, which is it's a cheesy name. But those of you who've been, well, let's find out. How many people were here with Casablanca, not here specifically, but how many people have been a member of the Casablanca family, beginning with the Casablanca Classic, otherwise known as the Cassie? Okay, great. How many people have or had an Avio? Okay, which you may know is an acronym. It stands for Audio, Video, In and Out. Oh, thank you. Here's the original Candy Factory from the Cassie Classic. So, Candy Factory essentially lets you take black titles on a white background and wrap 3D textures. It comes with 236 different skins to put on there. Some really, really cool stuff. So if you're one of those people that feels like your titles within the Casablanca environment has been limiting for you, Can-Do Factory opens it's instead of opening a door, it's like opening a warehouse barn door. It's like huge. And then also show you a little bit of Pip Studio 3D, which is probably a March to summer release that lets you take an infinite number of pips and totally control them on the X, Y, and Z axis. So again, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but just so you see what's out there and know what's coming. So, and then time willing, we'll be able to jump into individual questions about other software products, whatever. It's my style to sprinkle in other stuff throughout the day too, just because you're there on a project. So we may make a lot of left turns and right turns, and things happen, and we're going to kind of go with the flow. So, bless you. Some of you have seen me before, and you know it's kind of my style to. We all have an agenda. There's somewhere we want to get through, but there's stuff that comes up, and I best address that and deal with it instead of artificially say no. No, it's not on my paper. Okay, so we stopped at the Avio. Anybody here with a Cron or Cron Plus? Excellent. Okay. Oh, yeah, I should say anybody with or still have. There you go. Anybody with a Prestige or Prestige Plus? Okay. Solitaire or Solitaire Plus? Now here's where it gets tricky, and we're going to do a little language lesson. Our newest line of products, 2 of them are focused on a product which you're seeing here. This is the Renommé Plus, okay, which is to date our fastest unit, and it's Renommé. Okay, everybody, Renommé. Some people didn't participate. Follow the bouncing ball. Renommé. Okay, good. So there's the Renommé and the Renommé Plus. The Renommé is essentially the successor to the Prestige. Same price point for your newer technology. Okay. Don't throw tomatoes at us. We didn't, technology moves along, and we believe it's appropriate to take advantage of it and pass it on to the consumer. The strange thing is, because of the march of technology, for the price, which was the same as the Prestige, you get about 6 times the speed of the processor in the Prestige. Front and rear inputs, removable hard drive. Essentially the same features as the Prestige. It's 2 inches deeper, but the speed is tremendous. And then the Renommé Plus, which I have here, which is equivalent in speed and performance to the Solitaire Plus. Excuse me. So the Renommé Plus and the Solitaire Plus are equivalent in terms of performance and efficiency. The exception, if there's any Solitaire owners, is that the Solitaire, of course, gives you the internal dedicated backup hard drive that's a standard feature, and you have that second hard drive tray that you can put a second hard drive and do a software switch between them. And then, of course, the Bang & Olufsen kind of etched glass styling, too. So, Prestige, Renommé Plus owners, I just want to make sure you're aware, too, because when I'm talking to people, a lot of times they're not. You do have the option of installing that dedicated mirror hard drive in your unit, though it almost is a moot point because Smarted at 6 will negate that requirement. So what you're going to see. So the ability to back up an entire storyboard to a FireWire hard drive, which is really cool. So, okay. Sure. Anybody who uses the Cassie Classic for any performance or any kind of a capability? Yeah. Well, that's great. That's great. I know there's some people who still swear by it for specific applications, and that's. In fact, there's a film company up in BC that still uses them for doing the dailies, doesn't it? Yep. Yeah. So they got them on carts, and they charge an enormous amount of money to do it. So, great little product. So. And
I just wanted to say this is going to be streamed over the internet here in a few days, and I'll send email out to everybody that's here today to notify when that's up on the internet. And if the quality's not good enough for them, then we can send out a DVD, and I'll announce when the DVDs are available from this conference as well.
Great. So you're welcome to take notes, but it's being documented electronically. So the other thing is, as I will probably at the lunchtime, I'll pass around a pad and ask you to put down your name and as legibly as humanly possible your email address, so that we can follow up with the information about the documentary video, as it were. Oh, I'm a subject of a documentary. But also, I have it's like a 27-page PDF document that details many of the tips that I'm sharing with you today. So you can print that out and have it next to your editor and go through them as you need them. Okay. We continue to have upgrade programs for anybody that feels like they need the performance of a faster machine. Though if you're happy with your unit, then God bless you. That's great. I hope that you continue to use it as long as you see fit. Okay? But know that those upgrade paths, I think, and although people would disagree with me, the facts show that we are unique in the industry that still allows a customer who purchased a unit 4, 6, 7 years ago to trade that in towards a new model and still allow you to, for lack of a better word, harvest the software and see that it goes on your new machine. You know, take your 7-year-old Dell back to Dell and ask them to, you know, how much they're going to give you on a trade-in. And yeah, okay, so. And we still choose to do our tech support domestically. We will not send you to an international operator who has a pseudonym that is anyway. Okay, so let me just give you a quick sense. You may know that I'm with Macro System, and our offices are in Boulder, Colorado, though I largely work from my home office, which is in Northern California. So this is how I got here last night. Flew up from Oakland, not quite that fast, but and this is using Columbus 2 software. That's right. No. Yeah, it was interesting because I'm in the airport late last night and they say, well, want to let you know we're on a weather advisory. Okay, great. Well, somebody comes on a few minutes later. Okay, this is what a weather advisory is. It's, you know, the fog is thick. Though I live about 30 minutes from San Francisco, so fog's not like a frightening thing. Until you're trying to land an airplane, you can't see where it put it down. But they said, we probably are going to take off. Okay, that's good. And how about the next part? And we may land in Seattle, though we may be diverted to either Boise or Portland. And a bunch of people said, no, Portland, please. And I was asking, though, couldn't Honolulu maybe one of them be those choices too? And they didn't think so. But I landed, and all was well. But I was thinking, you know, if I had a longer period of time, maybe I'd want to explore a little bit more. Maybe I'd want to take a boat, you know, up through the channel and go up to visit our friends up in Vancouver. Or maybe I'd want to take a seaplane and you know, travel the area too. So anyway, just a fun little thing. This is using Columbus 2 software. If you do anything with mapping and the like, Columbus 2 is a cool piece of software to do that with. So what I want to do is I am using SmartEdit 5, which is 5.1c is the current release. Though in the next week to two, you'll see a release of 5.1d as in dogma. Okay, 5.1d addresses some issues that some people have been having with 5.1c. So if you've been on 5.1c and you've been fine, then you can just ignore what I said. If you've had some bumps in the road and advised by tech support that 5.1d may cure some of the bumps you've been having, then 5.1d may be welcome. This is what we call the version box. Okay, and I apologize if I click too quickly. Just tell me to slow down a little bit. Okay. When I'm in the Runaway screen here on version 5, I click on System Settings, as you can on your system, and you see down here, again, this is the operating system and the serial number. Okay? You can lead off that leading 0. And all of a sudden, you're extra cool. Okay? When you call tech support and you say, and they say, what's your serial number? You say 321204-6. I say, you've been to one of Chet's seminars. It's like the in-crowd. Sorry. Okay. Anyway, so clicking on the version box opens up some information that shows you your CPU, your memory. You know, so in my Runaway Plus, it comes standard with 1 GB of RAM, which is more RAM than anybody should use in a day or two of doing video. The other units are shipping. The highest you can go in a Prestige that's recognizable now is 256 megs of RAM. Okay, along with the Cron. The Renome, not the Renome Plus, the Renome standard, it has 512 megs of RAM. And there's this thing in our society about having something that's bigger and better than the person next door. I've got more RAM than you. You're welcome to buy lots of RAM if you wish, but just suffice to say that more than the stated capacities I just shared with you won't do you a bit of good. So unless you want bragging rights, maybe just tape some extra RAM sticks inside your machine. You can tell people you got 3 gigs of RAM. So, but again, the only perceptible difference where you see a significance in your operating is that if you're using CB Paint software, the greater amount of RAM lets you undo back to the beginning of your project. So on my Solitaire, when I had a gig of RAM, I could do undo all the way back to the beginning of my session, which is helpful if you're in that particular software. But otherwise, you're not going to see much difference. I highly recommend those of you that are on the Avio to upgrade to the 256 megs of RAM. Some of our newer software, specifically Deluxe Titler 3D, Photo Studio 2, and I think DVD-RBS 3, requires 256 megs of RAM. So again, you can check just by clicking right there, and that is a $79 upgrade. So it's something that, especially if you're out of warranty, you can open up, put it in yourself, or talk to your local reseller, and they can make arrangement to provide you with that service. So,
I have a question about data size, Chet. It's when you go FireWire input to the unit and record, 1 hour of video equals how much gigabytes of data size?
I always turn to somebody smarter than me for that answer. Gary, do you know that offhand?
Well, it's variable because the compression things, you know, if it's a talking head, it's not moving, you can capture a whole lot more than if it's a sports action video kind of thing.
Okay.
So they just speak in terms of the generalities when they speak of
Okay.
the amounts of time.
But there isn't, if you're going FireWire, there isn't actually any compression going on. It's native. Is that correct?
That is largely correct, yes. There's no virtual compression beyond what the camera's already done to your product.
The only compression that may occur is actually a digital to analog conversion when it goes to the S-video out.
Well, that's not exactly accurate. There's all different kinds of AVI files, and the macro system line uses AVI2, and I'm not sure what your camera uses, so there could be some transcoding going on.
Okay.
A 300 gig hard drive, which is the largest we certify at this point in time, will get you around 26 hours of native DV quality, not HDV, which we'll talk about the differentiation. So, okay. Some people are using larger than 300 gigs, though 300 is the one we're certifying as fully operable. I know. I think there's somebody in this room using a 400, and I've heard of customers using 5 and even a 700. But I'm told you could buy like 3 300s for the price of a 700. So, yes?
What does the Toshiba laptop come with?
There are two models. One is an 80 gig and one is a 120 gig. But the ability to back up via FireWire hard drive opens up the door substantially to other capabilities for those who want that, for doing major project work. Okay. Other questions that kind of around where we're at? He's an asked for, so. Of course, Murphy's Law. Maybe pretend like you cleaned it off, and then the next day they'll call you and say, can I have another copy of that project? Can I change something? Yeah, disk transfer, and then we're going to talk, Smart Edit 6, you can make those modifications really cool. And then, of course, you can name your projects, and the asterisk will show that there's truly nothing in that project. Even if I put something in there and don't name it, the asterisk tells me there's media going on in that project. So I've got 9 out of my 10 projects currently full. Now that I'm doing some stuff with HDV, I'm choosing to name that project at the get-go so I know, how I'm working with that particular project. There's a debate about this, so I largely use mine on normal, but though I sometimes will go to large format, it essentially has to do with overscan, though there's some new capabilities to address that in system settings. The cover border, if you're playing directly from your unit to a projector or to a computer, it will help to cover up the overscan area and make sure that all your effects reach the whole side of the screen. So there's a new feature in Smart Edit 6 for that as well. Formats, depending on how you're recording your project. The default setting is if you've been doing SD for a long time, which if you're shooting anything on mini DV, you're already doing SD. Okay? So even if you don't plan to do anything with HDV, you can walk out here saying, yeah, I shoot SD. Okay, then you do. And that's the 4:3 ratio that video in North America essentially is 3 units high by 4 units wide. Okay, this is what we call interlace scanning. 2 fields come together to make 1 frame of video. A series of odd frames and a series of even frames make 1 frame of video. Someone says a freeze frame, that's 1/30th of a second in our form of video. That becomes important because when I show the still frame, there's a thing for dealing with half frame, and you're essentially pulling up a field instead of a full frame. If you're shooting on a progressive camera, okay, then you want to come down here and select progressive on your format. Okay? If you're not, or you don't know what I'm talking about, just stay on 4:3 and the world's going to be beautiful. Okay? Going to 16:9 will not change your footage. Okay? You can't shoot in standard aspect ratio and then flip this switch on Casablanca and everything's widescreen format now. Okay? There is a different button inside that will modify that, though there is some fallout from the modification. But if you're shooting widescreen, then you want to set your project to widescreen as well. Okay? So much of what I'm showing you, except my HD project, is 4:3. Sir?
So 16:9 progressive, if you shoot in the 16:9, I understand the camera, you can't go into that 16:9.
You can, but there's no appreciable benefit.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, good, no. And please, the only stupid question is the one you never ask. I used to have that on my wall in my classroom, but then a couple years later I took it down. Okay? But for you all today, it's important. You came here for a reason. If you have a question, doggone it, you ask it, okay? Do not feel silly about asking a question. Yes?
It would be immensely helpful if you could repeat the question.
Oh, good idea. Thank you. Question was, if you're shooting, if you're not, well, let me rephrase it with your permission. Okay. I secede to the gentleman from British Columbia. If you're not shooting 16:9, there's no need to go in there. You can use it, but it gives you no perceptible advantage. The only thing it's really doing is it's stretching and adjusting all the masks and titles, everything we do, so it conforms to that larger aspect ratio. So it's adjusting all the effects to that same widescreen format. It doesn't actually change the footage at all. Excellent question. Okay. Audio settings we're going to get into after lunch. Okay. We'll delete your project if you click OK. You may have found that out. You have 3 choices in Smart Edit 5. You can delete just the storyboard, or just the scenes, or just the audio elements. Okay. So you can kind of pick and choose. Okay. So if I want to start fresh, I'd say delete storyboard, and now it cleans off my storyboard and keeps the scenes in the scene bin. There's no undo button there, though. Okay.
That's what you usually do.
We should have, I think, a German woman's voice. Are you sure you want to do this? But no. All right.
So you just deleted your entire storyboard?
My storyboard, but not the scene bin.
Okay.
That's correct. So I'm starting from scratch.
Okay.
Yep. Which is great for the classroom, by the way. So, all right. Information is kind of cool. It tells me everything I got going on with this project. So there's 60 scenes in the scene bin, and I got 51 audio samples. Okay. And that's nice because it tells you right here, how long is your whole storyboard. If you're doing a project for TV, for a contest or something, you have to have a finite length. That's nice to know that there. There's another nicer new place to find that in the edit window, which I'll show you today as well.
Question.
Yes?
What is the easiest way to save what you have, including your cuts, so that you can go back and pick the cuts up again?
You mean archiving them?
Archiving them over to something and then be able to bring them back in later so you'd have all the cuts all established for you.
Long project, short project?
Fairly long, maybe as long as a half hour or hour.
Okay. I'll give you both avenues. Longer project, I would lean towards saying I'd back it up on FireWire Mini DV. Okay? So you put it all up in the storyboard, put your finished project first, and then put a separator like color bars or something and say, raw footage. And then throw all my raw scenes up behind it, and then export out via FireWire to DV tape. The nice thing is if you ever need to bring it back in, you'd click the auto split button, you'd record it and click auto split, and it will recognize all those separate pieces and put them down. I'll split them up in the scene bin. Okay. The caveat there is that you are susceptible to the potential of tape dropouts, which may or may not be an issue. If you're archiving important stuff, please use new tapes, not the one that you've been through for the 300th time, but just because in spite of what some manufacturers tell you, tape does have a finite life. So Murphy's Law being it will happen. The dropout will occur at the most important part of it. The other avenue that will provide you with the highest quality, and the other nice feature, it brings in the names of the scenes as well. So if I have all my scenes named down here, okay, is by using disk transfer. Okay, disk transfer is one of the best, what I call, utilities that Casablanca has.
You're limited on that,
Okay,
aren't you?
you are limited to about 20 minutes per disk. Okay, the reason you're limited is because there's no compression. It's full native DV quality. Okay, yeah, Candy.
May I point out, though, that people that consider that a limitation, it's really not. The best quality disc still only costs about 40 cents. So 3 of those is equal to 1 mini DV tape, and so it's still cheaper. Having experienced the mini DV tape dropout on irreplaceable footage that I shot 10 years ago, believe me, disc transfer is a godsend to me. So
Okay.
it's not as much of a limitation as people think.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's there, but if it's content critical in terms of quality, and also if you want the benefit of having your scenes named and identified, I highly recommend disk transfer.
So how do you do it on multiple discs then?
Okay, what you'd have to do is the footage that you put onto disk transfer. You're essentially burning your footage onto DVD. Okay, you take it from the scene bin. So if I wanted these 4 scenes, Arizona 1, Arizona 3, and 4, I go to DVD Our Best. Now this is add-on software, and I think it's normally $99. And disk transfer shows up in your Arabesque window. Okay, it says, "Are you sure you want to do this?" Because you can only burn a disk in Arabesque, or you can do disk transfer. They're both using the partition of the hard drive that's set up for DVD stuff. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to export, which, by the way, is a good trick for cleaning out all your films. If you have disk transfer, just click on that and it wipes out all your films. Okay. So I select which project I'm going to work in, and I select the scene I'm going to pull up. I'm going to pull that scene. Okay. You can see it's relatively quick. Of course, I'm on the Resume Plus, so there's 11 seconds.
Is this supposed to be like a quick way to do a quick disc instead of going through the whole?
No, good question, Stephanie. This isn't the only. This is not burning a DVD for the audience. This is only burning an archived copy for me to use behind the scenes. The audience, if the audience puts this in a DVD player, they won't even see what's happening. It'll just say unrecognizable data.
So this does not work on a DVD player?
That is correct. It's only for use within Casablanca and with computer systems. Okay, which I want to show you that one other. There's a really nice capability that this works for.
What additional program do we need to do this?
It's called disk transfer. Okay. Okay. So now I've pulled those 4 scenes into my partition of my hard drive. I would write the DVD, and it'll say, okay, put in a DVD, and I put in a DVD. Okay, and this is going to be the Julia Child School of Demonstration. So let's pretend you've burned your DVD, blah, 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 and you need it back now. So let's go here. Let's go to an empty project.
Could you have selected,
Nothing up my sleeve.
could you have selected a scene from another project also?
Yes, you could go through and pick, scenes from, good, thank you, Keith. So, and the next thing, I'm creating new media. So I go to disk transfer and say, open up disk transfer, okay? And let's close the DVD drive. Now, this will happen to you, likely. Oh, it's going to actually read. A lot of times people will click on display contents, and they keep clicking, and it says, no info found. And it's a call to tech support. Let me just save you that tech support call. It has to get up to speed and spin and recognize a disk. Okay, it's not a big deal, but it's just like, okay. Yeah, well, it depends on how much. If you've got a disk full of data, too, it will take a few moments for the disk to spin and recognize it. So it will happen to you just because of the nature of humans. So
AVI
just
files also be able to transfer this way?
this saves them as AVI files.
But if you have an AVI file already, a client has given you an AVI file.
Absolutely.
If it's AVI DV or AVI Type 2, yes. I've learned there's like 8 different kinds of AVI
It has to be
files.
certain types of AVI.
Correct.
And MPEGs, no.
No,
Doesn't work on anything, so that was my question.
no, does not.
Or
Only
window
AVI Type.
media, no.
No. Go to Windows Media Encoder, and then you can transcode it as an AVI file.
Yeah, you need another. So what do you need for that?
Gary's.
Windows makes a free software that you
I think it's, yeah.
Yeah, so you, have
Well,
you still need the computer.
You'd have, yeah, to transcode it.
I'm trying to get rid of my computer.
Okay. Okay.
That's why I got at Casablanca.
There you go. There you go. Well, you know, it's interesting you said that, because there are clearly some people who don't want anything to do with the computer. They only want to do the video. The other avenue that we're seeing more and more is lots of people, either their clients or themselves, have a computer for a specific purpose. They find their computer does something particularly well for them. And we have, I think it's fair to say, we have increased our connectivity, not only live connectivity, but I mean other ways of talking to computer data in the last number of years, beyond to the point where I'm almost very pleased. I mean, there's still some little bit extra distance that we're moving towards, because we realize it's like, I don't know, it's like a professional carpenter, an artist. They don't just have one paintbrush. They have multiple tools in their arsenal. They use different things for different things. So.
That's why we're on the subject. When I have a Mac,
Yes.
and I run iMovie sometimes to do stuff, and if I go FireWire out of my Mac into FireWire in my Cassie, it doesn't work. Am I doing something wrong, or should it work?
Should work on Smart at 4 and higher.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
5, yeah.
Yeah. Anything below that, there was a connectivity issue. But yeah, it should be full.
FireWire should work directly
Yeah.
out of your.
And the other, if you have QuickTime Pro, which I think is a $49 utility, QuickTime Pro will save out AVI Type 2, so you can transcode your files. So here's a clip of Arizona Flowers for. Okay. So it's downloading this clip into this particular scene. So that was a previously burned AVI file. So again, no compression. And the nice thing is, the name and everything. It's really cool. And with this transfer, the other nice door it opens. One of the companies that is a Casablanca supporter is Digital Hotcakes. They make animations, jump backs, a whole host of things. They make DV tapes, but they also make them available on DVD as AVI files, so you can download a whole host of capabilities. So there's Home Movie Essentials. There's 3 collections that deal with weddings and event videography. There's capability, and they're also friendly with Blue Box and Blue Box World, to where you can take titles and drop them in. So, for example, you're going to see I'm going to use this a little bit later on in the creation of my little company logo. So, so you can use the green screen or the blue screen capabilities of to drop a bit. So again, there's a couple of manufacturers. I should tell you right now, though, that Digital Juice is not AVI Type 2 friendly. However, you can use a free piece of software they have called the Juicer. The Juicer will transcode their QuickTime MOV files into AVI Type 2 files.
So Cassie reads AVI Type 2 files, but only through disk transfer, or?
That is correct. Only through disk transfer. Now, here's a neat application story, just in case maybe you come across it. I was at the office of a client, and they do a weekly cable show on horsemanship. This guy's a horse whisperer. He's amazing. I mean, at first I go, pfft. Then I saw what he did. It's like, holy smokes. They had a client in Texas who had a 60-second spot that had to go on their cable show. And, of course, they called me the day before it airs. Is there a way to get it here? Well, yeah, FedEx, but, it was out of the question. So I put my thinking cap on and went into the corner and came out, and I said, this will work. And so the guy had a 60-second spot on his PC. He uploaded it via an FTP to their website. Okay? They went into their PC, downloaded it as an AVI Type 2 file, burned it onto a DVD as an AVI Type 2 file, put it in their Prestige, and had their 60-second commercial in their Prestige within 30 minutes. So, I mean, so it's not just, I mean, it opens up some other doors for doing creative things like that are, different solutions. So, all right. Other questions in that kind of realm there? Okay, let me come back. So let's say we're starting a simple project, and there are a range of people. Let me get a show of hands. How many of you deal with K-12 education? Okay, welcome. Event videography, wedding videography. Excellent. Cable TV, broadcast TV, shows, programs. Okay? Corporate industrial, training, sales presentation. Okay? Sports, athletics. Okay? Church and ministry. Okay? Hobbyist, travel, family video. Okay? And law enforcement, public government. Who hasn't raised their hand yet? Raise your hand.
Music.
Okay. What did I miss? Music. There we go. Another category that I should have called out. No. Okay.
We use documents that we use to interview Ned on a live TV show.
Okay.
We'll introduce the product or the person and put it and then run the TV.
Okay.
DVD,
Okay.
on live TV.
Cool. Now, there are a range of experiences here today. Okay. Some people have been with Casablanca for many years and know the box in and out. In fact, I should sit down and they should teach me something today. Okay. Other people may be newer to the system. So I'm going to jump into this next part and I'm going to build a short project from start to finish. Okay. You may know that. If it is, let's take a deep breath. I'm not trying to be condescending, but I want to kind of give us a ground rule where everybody kind of feels like, okay, great, now I'm ready to move on to advanced or intermediate titling and audio. So hopefully I'll be able, even if you're a long-time user, show you a trick or two that you didn't know. You don't have to tell me that you didn't know that. I'll just accept that. So anyway, so I load my footage into the system. The first thing I would do would be a single clip. Okay, so if it's a single clip, what I would do, if this was it here, this is an 8-minute 48 piece. It's a completed project. First thing I would do is I would name that clip. Okay, I would give it a name between 3 and 6 characters long before I split it up, because after you split it up, you get this kind of weird language. Okay, point 1, point 2. So if I split this up, okay, and I'm going to manually split it up, okay, which you can do, okay, split. So I could, there's soccer. See the point 1? Let me move it up for you. Okay, I want to use that. And here's this next segment. Here's a little photo montage introducing the players. Okay. Let's go back here. That's the last player, Ryan, Patrick. Done. Okay. Use that piece, and so here's a photo montage, and then we have game footage. Game footage, which is not particularly good because the coach was also the videographer, which is a bad mistake. So. All right. Do this one. Okay. So I've split up my original into 4 separate pieces. See, so it has the point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4. So that's why I'm recommending name it first before you go to that split, because otherwise it's like 1S1.65. So what the heck is going on? So just, and again, short names. Okay, this is not the place where you fully delineate what happened that day when you were out shooting. Okay, because you're not going to be able to see it. There's only so much screen real estate. Okay. Now the nice thing is, if you split those at the wrong place, you can just delete it or do it over because the original clip is untouched. Okay, which you may know happens a lot in the Casablanca interface. A lot of what you do is left over there, and your changes are over here. Okay, they're non-destructive changes. Okay, so I'm done with those. So let's go ahead and delete them. Now, if you ever want to undelete, that's what this button's for. Some would call it the U-turn or the repent button. Okay, okay, okay. Now you can just up to 10. Yeah, you go to 11, your first one's gone. Okay, so you can undelete and delete 10 times. And you can.
Chet, if you go out into something else and come back into that, you can't get them back.
That's correct. If you shut down or if you switch projects, this is for this project only. Okay, temporary memory. Okay, which by the way is also a cool way to, if you want to rearrange your footage, like if I want that over here, I want it after the map, you can undelete that there. Okay, so you can move your footage around your scene bin. Some people do that to reorganize your clip bin. Okay. Now, in the Casablanca interface, you will never see a save button. Well, I shouldn't say that. In the regular menus, you don't see a save button. Okay? It's because the system will automatically save every 5 minutes. Okay? When you power down, it will save before it shuts down. Okay? It's just built into the system. If you do a particularly intricate maneuver, which I know some of you do all the time, okay, and you feel like you want to make sure you save that and back it up, click on record, and it forces the save. Okay, so you can back out, click record, and it's forcing the save to the hard drive. Okay.
Heard somebody say going to click on project to do the same thing.
Yeah. You can click on another project. I prefer the record method just because it's what I came up with. Okay. Now, when you're bringing in your footage, go back one step here. Because you're on, again, the Prestige, Renome Plus, and the Solitaire, you have the capability of front as well as rear inputs. Okay. Front CVBS, which I'm told stands for Composite Video Broadcast Signal. Just think composite. RCA connectors, phono RCAs. Okay.
Actually, one quick question.
Yes.
When I'm using two monitors, I can't see this. Do you notice that when you're using two monitors? I have one a VGA and the other is going S. I have to go back to one monitor to actually adjust this to get to the screen. We can look at that later. It's not an issue?
Well, apparently it is.
Well, with me. With anybody else?
There are a couple of what I would say issues that are still present in the dual monitor setup that are not present in a single monitor setup. There's that. There's something called pick color, and there's a couple of
issue.
Yeah. There's a couple things. Some of them are addressed in 5.1D. A couple of them still remain to be addressed.
I just go back to single screen and then I do it, and then it seems to remember it for that project.
Okay. Okay. So it's not even available in a dual monitor mode?
It doesn't seem so.
Okay. What David's talking about, just so you're aware, is some people who spend, I think, particularly who spend a long time in front of the editor, okay, a day in, day out, you're doing long-form video, may prefer a dual monitor setup. And what that means is when you click on System Settings and you go to Screen, okay, right now I'm playing my signal out S-video to the projector. Okay? So when I'm using the projector, when I go to play back a clip, okay, you see that the clip is seen full screen and my menu goes away. Okay? If you use a dual monitor setup, okay, which is, I don't have two projectors here to show you, okay, in System Settings, I could say I want to show the output on a VGA screen, okay, and I can select dual or single monitor. Okay? But I strongly advocate still using a video monitor for your video display because that's how your customer still sees a majority of your work. So, but a dual monitor would mean my menu goes out to a VGA or computer monitor, and my video comes out to a TV monitor. Okay? So your menu's always visible even while you're watching video full screen. So a lot of people appreciate that. It gives you more screen real estate, and you see greater detail while you're doing some finely detailed work.
Screen for titling.
Yeah. The other important thing is that a VGA monitor handles letters, characters in the interface much more cleanly than video can. Right or wrong, good or bad, it's an accepted fact. NTSC video doesn't have high resolution. And for doing tiny little characters, you can see some of the aliasing that's going on, is it's going to look much clearer on a VGA or computer monitor. So if you spend a long time in front of the interface, and I'm not talking about getting a $2,000 flat panel VGA monitor, that's fine if you want to, but you can go to the local dealer or electronics wholesaler and pick up a $69 CRT, one of those old computer things, and it's going to look beautiful. It's just so you would have two connectors, the VGA connector going to your computer monitor and your video output going to your video or your video TV.
That screen you have up there right now, that is a part of the Smart Edit, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's on Smart Edit 3 and higher, I think. So, yeah.
What was the allowed distortion by?
Next question. That's all the time we have left today for this presidential press conference. Thank you very much. We'll see you next Thursday. That's right. I've got the manual. Remind me, and I should endeavor to tell you that.
How about 1, 2, and 3? 3 CD thing requires 3 evidently, but I never understood 1, 2.
They are different on the VGA settings, and it's in the manual. And the only ones I'm told that really are practical is VGA 1 and VGA 3. They have to do with the screen size and the amount of pixels that are displayed. And so one will show you a greater resolution where 3 is a little bit narrower. I could, if I was my dad, I just would have made up those numbers, but I didn't.
The size of the thumbnails.
Yeah, it affects the size. It used to dramatically in Smart Edit 2. Remember you had like, whoa! It was like 5 million on screen. It was really cool. Yes, that's right. That's right. All right, so let's say we've recorded our stuff. And be advised, you should never have two fire wires connected at the same time, okay, and active, okay? Even though there's a front and a rear DV port, don't have them both connected and turned on at the same time. The machine won't work. and it's not our fault, it's yours. Okay? Because you can't, it's like, what do you want me to do? Which one, huh? Make up your mind. Okay? So you can only have one active.
And it's also true you have to plug them in and then turn them on?
That is correct. Never hot swap your FireWire cables. Okay? This is not a Casablanca issue. This is an industry issue.
What does that mean, Chet?
Thou shalt not have thy DV camera on and your Casablanca on and connect FireWire cable while both are powered. There's a voltage surge that can go down the line, particularly if someone doesn't have it in the right spot and can fry either your video board or your camera pieces. Okay, it has happened. So people who like to walk on rice paper will turn off both units. Though suffice to say, if one of them is turned off while you connect, there's no voltage that transpires. So, yeah, you can have. I always have my camera off and connect, and then power up once the FireWire cable's in place. So, yeah, just.
You might not even recognize it. Too fine sometimes.
That's true. Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it's taken.
It doesn't recognize it.
Yes. Yeah. Again, the best quality as well will come from FireWire transfer. So if you have a FireWire camera, for goodness sake, don't use the S-Video. You will get a much higher image quality using DV, except if you need to modify the audio. I mean, there are reasons and there are rules for doing it. Okay, but generally the guideline is if you've got DV, use it. Okay. Next best choice is YC, which is known as S-Video. Okay, YC is actually the name of the signal, not the name of the cable, but okay. And then composite. Y and C, and goodness knows why some engineer came up with this long ago. But in an S-Video cable, the signal's broken down to two separate components: the luminance, which is the black and white information, and the chrominance, which is your color information. In video engineering, Y stands for luminance and C stands for chrominance. C I understand, but why? I don't know why. Okay. And that's true. Okay. When you're in the record menu, you have the capability, if you're connected via FireWire, you also have transport control. Okay, so it'll control your FireWire camera or your deck. Okay. You can also ride gain. Let's switch this up and down. Even in FireWire now, you can ride the volume level. Don't show students this, though, because this will be like, let's raise and lower the volume, and or whoever's working with you. Because it's a real challenge to go and fix that if somebody's messed around with it. So, but you have that capability just by clicking on the little peak LED meters. Okay, it is best to run a little tape first before you record, and it's best to have them peak no higher than the yellow. Okay, if you're peaking in red, you got some difficulty to deal with later, and there's that you can play with it, but there's no way to make it really sound good. Okay. Okay. Yeah, overmodulation that's digital is a whole bunch of fun. Okay? So it's better to record it a little bit under. I'm not talking about down here what an audio engineer would call in the mud, because then you've got another problem called noise, and it's ugly. Okay? And noise is just that the hiss. Shh. It's on every piece of equipment ever made. Okay? The better the piece of equipment, the farther the signal is away from the noise, thus the term signal-to-noise ratio. Okay? So you want your audio to average up in here at the end of the blues.
Not into the yellow?
Yellow occasionally.
Just touchy.
Yeah. Okay. Other record screen things. Capabilities too here. You can set it for a specific time. So if you've got, maybe you've got a 60-minute tape, but you're just pulling off 11 minutes of it, you can set the timer for 11 minutes, and it will only record 11 minutes worth of footage and then stop recording. Okay.
Question about the Prestige or anything later than my ancient Cron.
Yes.
When you do the DV input, do you still have that time lag in the audio when you're watching it on your monitor?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And you will not see. No, never mind. Yes. The photo button lets you bring in a 2D image. It uses about 6 frames, 6/30ths of a second, to record up to 57, a full minute of a still frame video clip. Though there have been issues with this in Smart Edit 5 and higher. So there are known issues. They're working on them. So if you're on a system that's lower than that, it's a cool button. If you're not, then I'm sorry. Okay, so let's say we've recorded our footage, and we're going to go ahead and edit, so we begin building our project. So I've got a bunch of clips. Let's say I've already split them out, And first thing I would probably do is I'd look at the clips and say, I'm going to go ahead and bring the volume down on this, just so we're not dealing with audio yet. Isn't that a great shot of a little grouper? I always tell people, that's my SPCA shot. Take me home. I mean, cats and dogs get adopted. Why not fish? All right. So let's say first thing I would do is you'd go through. Hopefully you of course, have your fully evolved script, and you've detailed your project, and you know exactly what you're going to do. Everybody's laughing at me. I can see the real-world practitioners are here. And, we teach one thing, and then I'll do something different.